everyone, welcome to another video with Amy Makes That. I'm so excited for today's tutorial. It is my first holiday tutorial of the season, and it is on 3 different ways that you can use your Cricut to make ornaments. These ornaments can be a great gift. They could even be a product in your shop. And not only did they turn out amazing, but they were so easy to make. I use the Cricut Maker in today's video, but you can easily make this with your Cricut Explore Air 2, the new Cricut models like the Cricut Maker 3, the Cricut Explore 3. So whatever machine you have, you definitely will be able to make the ornaments in today's video with. I have all of the products listed in the video description. All of them, because there's a lot of them. Alright, finally, let's get into the tutorial. Welcome to VoiceOver Amy. So the first ornament is a classic, and it's this acrylic ornament with vinyl. The first step is to make a stencil. I do this with all of my projects so I can visually see how the vinyl will look on the acrylic blank. I selected the shape button and chose a circle, and then adjusted the size to 3 inches because that's what the size of the acrylic blank is. I got them from Amazon, by the way, so they will be linked in the video description. So I hit the circle, and now I'm typing out the design. This can be any word, quote, etc. Doesn't have to be a last name like I did, and the font that I'm using is Papery Cream, which is also linked in the video description. Then I'll adjust the letter spacing and ungroup the entire word because some letters were overlapping each other. As you can see, the I and E were way too close. Then I'll highlight all of the letters and group them. Repeat the same steps for the word the. Then I'll highlight both and align them in the center with the Align button. Once it's completed, I will weld it. Minimize the size to where you want it to be. Remember, if you're using the acrylic circle with a hole, to leave a small amount of room at the top for that hole. I deleted the duplicate since we don't need 2 of them, and then I clicked Make It. As per my Cricut TikTok hack video, I now cut my vinyl on the iron-on setting, and if you don't do this already, you're missing out. So I pre-cut my vinyl off camera and aligned it on the standard grip mat. Then I used my brayer tool to have it firmly adhered to the mat. I'll let the Cricut cut the vinyl, and once it's done, I'll remove it from the mat. There were only 3 tiny areas for me to weed, so I did that and then removed the rest of the vinyl. Also, don't come for me in the comments that I wasted my vinyl because I have enough vinyl that'll last me like 5 years. So this is what the acrylic blank looks like. It has this protective layer on each side, and to remove it, I take my weeding tool and carefully remove it from the top. Now we can apply our design. My transfer tape is always from the Dollar Tree, and I'll attach it to the design and scrape it with the scraper tool. Remove the backing, and then you can apply it to the acrylic. Scrape it again to adhere it to the acrylic. I then remove the transfer tape, and then remove the other side's protective layer and added a ribbon so it can be hung on the tree. Next on the list are these painted wood slice ornaments. I've been wanting to make these since the day I got my Cricut. The SVGs, by the way, are from this Etsy shop I found, and this will also be linked in the video description. Now I'm not going to demonstrate how I uploaded them because I've explained this process in a lot of my previous videos, and I will also show this in the flannel ornament. So we will click Make It. Then I adjusted how I'd like them on the mat. I leave a little space around them since we will be using vinyl as a stencil and not applying the adhesive vinyl to the ornament. Set the material to iron on, and then we can adhere our vinyl to the mat. I'm using Cricut's removable vinyl because since we have a painted background, I don't want any of the paint to come up when removing the stencil. The Cricut will cut the vinyl, and in the meantime, we can prep our wood slice. I'm using black acrylic paint and these flat brushes from Amazon. I dabbed the paintbrush in the paint and started in the middle of the wood slice. Then I worked my way to the outside. On the wood slice, there are actually these thin lines, so I went along those to get a nice crisp edge. Now these can dry and I can go back to my Cricut. I'm removing the vinyl from the mat and then weeding the actual words. So again, I'm painting those letters onto the ornament and using the vinyl as a stencil. So leave the inside of the O's, A's, etc. and just weed the words. This is also the same exact process as making my doormats, the welcome with sign tutorial on my channel, so I will link those cards here. I know it's hard to tell with the vinyl just being white, but you can see that just the words are now weeded. I applied my transfer tape and then scraped it onto the design so it adheres. For an easy application, I like to Mod Podge the wood slices before painting. This will also avoid any extra paint from coming up when removing the stencil, and it doesn't have to be a thick layer. A thin layer will do. Once it's dry, remove the backing from the design so it's just the transfer tape and vinyl, and then we can place it on the wood slice. I'll use the scraper tool again to press it down. Remove the transfer tape carefully, and then I add another layer of Mod Podge. I do this with all projects that I'm painting with a stencil because then the design won't bleed as much through the stencil. So I repeated this for the second ornament. And I don't know about you, but I am a very messy painter. So I added some painter's tape around the border so I don't paint the background by accident. And now we can start painting. I used white acrylic paint and this paint sponge and dabbed a light layer of paint. If it's thick, your paint will bleed through the design, and you'll see it happened with the Merry and Bright ornament I made. So make sure it is a very, very light layer because we will be dabbing 2 layers of each ornament. And make sure before painting the second layer that the first layer is completely dry. Immediately after, you can carefully weed the inside of the letters. And then remove the stencil. And my left finger had paint on it, so you can see there's a little white spot on the left side, but I cleaned that up later with my paintbrush. We can do the same exact thing for the second ornament, and you can see that it bled in some areas, but I took my paintbrush and cleaned it up with the black paint off camera. When it's all dry, we can add, you guessed it, another layer of Mod Podge, and once they're dry, they're ready to be hung on the tree or anywhere else in your house. The last ornament is the embroidered flannel ornament. I actually got these designs from canva.com. If you'd like me to do a more detailed video on Canva, I definitely can, but I simply clicked on elements and then searched Christmas tree. If you scroll down a bit, the tree will come up, and then I just add that to the project. And I did the same exact thing for the snowflake. I typed in snowflake and then chose that first snowflake. Then you'll click download and save it as a PNG. And to upload it, you'll click upload, then upload image, browse, and find where you save the PNG to your computer. I usually save it to my desktop. This is a very basic design, so I selected the image as simple, clicked continue, and then removed the background by selecting the gray background. Click apply and continue, and then save it as a cut image, and then click upload. We'll click the image again and click add to canvas. It uploaded huge, so I minimized the size. The embroidery hoop I had today is 3 inches, so here are the measurements for the tree, and here are the ones for the snowflake. Then we'll click make it once it's ready. I adjusted the placement, and since we are heat pressing these designs, I'm going to click the mirror button, even though I probably could have gotten away with leaving them the way they were. But I click mirror anyway, and then click continue. Connect your Cricut and select everyday iron for the base material. Then I cut my vinyl with my paper cutter. I'm using Caesar EasyWeed H2B vinyl, and the very shiny side goes face down on the mat. I'll use my brayer tool and then let the Cricut cut the vinyl. Once it's done, remove the vinyl from the mat and weed the background. The vinyl got stuck in a few of the areas of the snowflake, so I just weeded those areas. Now for the flannel, I cut up an old flannel dress of mine, but you can really use anything like an old scarf or t-shirt. I just don't wear it anymore. So I cut a section off of it, and then I've never embroidered before, but the hoop was really easy to work with. You'll loosen the top of it until the inside hoop pops out, and then the outer hoop is nice and loose. I preheated my easy press to 305 degrees for 15 seconds and cut the designs so they were separate. I placed the snowflake down on the flannel where I wanted it to be, placed my Teflon sheet down, and heat pressed for 15 seconds. I removed the carrier sheet and it heat pressed perfect. Make sure you press firmly into the flannel material since the flannel is a little thicker than your average cotton apparel. Then repeat the same process for the second ornament. I let the tree cool off and worked on the snowflake. I placed the hoop where I wanted it to be and then put the inside hoop underneath the flannel. You'll have to adjust it a lot, so be patient with it and take your time. You can lightly pull the flannel to adjust it too, which helped a lot. Once it's placed where you want it to be, tighten the screw on the top. I again pulled on any areas. Do the same thing for the second ornament, so I placed the inside hoop underneath the flannel, added the outside hoop on top, and then screwed it tight. Now you'll cut the excess flannel off, but don't do too much because we will be hot gluing the back of the flannel to the back of the hoop. I used my mini hot glue gun and hot glued one area at a time. Carefully fold over the flannel. The longer pieces I hot glued the inside of the hoop, and the shorter pieces I glued on that top area, as you can see here. But be careful because the glue is super hot and you don't want to burn yourself. Then you can add some twine and it's ready to be used. So, what did we think? The Cricut still amazes me at how much you can really make with this machine. So, if you do end up making one of these ornaments, please tag me on either my Instagram, on YouTube here, on my TikTok, any of my social media platforms. All of those will be listed in the video description. I cannot wait to see what you decide to make with these ornaments. Thank you again for watching today's video, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!